Welcome back, episode 9, Game by Thrones. Today we have a North Iowa legend, high school and state of Iowa legend, Jeff Horner on the podcast with us today. Super cool conversation for us because we're kind of related to him, and we'll just leave it at that because we get into that. But also somebody we grew up watching. Somebody missed one more game than the other ones, and you'll figure that out later.
Yep.
But yeah, super cool conversation. Zach, you want to read off his bio?
So as in a very simple form, this is kind of a little background on Jeff Horner. He's a Mason City grad. He was a 4-year starter at Iowa playing point guard. Then he went to be a Grandview assistant, then a North Dakota assistant. Now he's the head coach at Truman State. He also, and he details this in our pod, had a few years, I don't even know, 4 or 5 year pro career.
Yep.
Overseas, D-League, kind of bouncing back and forth there. It was a really, really fun conversation that we had with him. Told some old funny stories that are related to him, and he was just a really cool guy. First time ever talk, actually. No, you talked to him back in the day,
Yep.
but we talk about that too.
Yeah.
But just make sure you guys share and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. We're hoping to kind of build our, our guest. Jeff Horner is a pretty high-profile guest for, a small podcast. So hopefully we can keep growing that. And if you're an Iowa fan listening to this, thank you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and share if you enjoyed.
Absolutely.
This is Game by Thrones, episode 9.
Yep.
Episode 9.
Grab your throne and listen to Game by Thrones.
Yes, sir. Welcome back, guys. I think this is episode 9.
Episode 9.
Of Game by Thrones. This is Jeff Horner on with us today. Went to Mason City. We actually have some family ties with him. Chris, you kind of want to explain that?
We do. So, your sister Tracy is married to our mom's cousin Jeff, correct? That's how it goes?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so, we're kind of related to a very good basketball player.
Yeah, very good would be putting it lightly, I'd say.
And we don't need to explain it to other people. But
Hey, you want to turn that off?
works. Yeah.
Get our AC on. It gets pretty hot up here.
So, yeah, kind of cool. But then to go with that, we're from Lake Mills. You, at one point in time, did you ever attend Lake Mills when your dad coached there?
I never did.
Okay.
We actually moved on my 4th birthday, so I'll never forget the day. So we were moving, and I was super bummed out because I was like, my mom did in-home daycare in Lake Mills, so I'd met a bunch of different friends. The Helgesons were a group that we hung around with, my parents hung around with, and their kids and that type of thing. And so I was devastated to leave Lake Mills, that's for sure. And so
we can't even like claim you. You never even attended the
Mills,
school.
Yeah.
I was hoping it'd be like part of a year, and then we get a claim.
Hey,
Jeff
that's our
Horner.
guy.
My 3 sisters went there though, so they were in school there
We'll
at some
count it, I
point.
guess.
So
Which nowadays there's I don't even know how many Helgeson families in town. Which Helgesons are you referring to?
God. Does Mitch sound right? Well, it was
There's so many Helgesons.
There's so many.
Yeah.
And some of them watch it, so they'll probably tell me.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But you graduated high school when?
Joel Helgeson, does that sound right?
Possibly. I don't even know.
I can't remember.
They'll watch it.
Wrestlers too.
Yeah, they're all wrestlers.
Wrestlers.
We'll get informed after this on what the connection was there.
Yep. So hey, obviously you went to Iowa, played point guard there. Give us a little rundown, your little journey after Iowa.
Yeah, so basically when I was done at Iowa, I had a few pre-draft workouts, one with the Nuggets, one with the Pistons. And then I actually went down to Orlando when they did the pre-draft camp, and I did a workout there with a big kid named Aaron Gray. Big kid. The Bulls ended up drafting him. Yeah. He was humongous. So, I can't imagine how big Shaq is, compared to this. And so I worked out with him down there in front of every NBA team. So had that, and then actually ended up not getting on a summer league team that summer, which I was pretty disappointed in. But in the end, saying all that, I knew I was kind of a fringe guy, I guess you could say. So, it kind of depends on what agent you get, those types of things. And so I didn't think that, my agent necessarily had a lot of good ties with the NBA. but did get me a good job overseas in Belgium, where it was just awesome for the first year when I was over there. I couldn't have been more happy being over there. We had 9 Americans on our team, so a lot of people spoke English. But obviously it was going that far away from my family for the first time ever. It was extremely difficult for sure. But it was kind of one of those things where, obviously I grew up my whole life wanting to try and play in the NBA. So I felt like I had to do something to, make that call and help better my chances. So I changed agents. But that first year I was in Belgium, I changed agents about midway through the year and actually ended up getting on with the Houston Rockets for the summer league the next summer. But my first year in Belgium, like I said, awesome experience. We made it all the way to the finals. And I felt like I had a pretty good rookie season over there. Like I said, played summer league with the Rockets the next summer. And as the draft was coming up, obviously I was a point guard, and the Rockets took Aaron Brooks in the first round from Oregon.
Okay.
Not that I would have made the Rockets by any means, but it was kind of one of those things where I felt like I could have got a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens after that, if you play well, those types of things. And I knew as soon as they drafted him that my playing time was going to be at a bare minimum, I guess you could say. And so, went there, ended up playing about, 5 minutes a game. It's, how it is, you sit on the bench, for a long time, then it's like you get in and it's like, man, I can't even move, type of thing. But it was an awesome experience. And actually the one time that I got to play a lot, we scrimmaged the Cleveland Cavaliers with Daniel Gibson and those guys
Gibson.
Yep. And then I actually played against him in college too, when when he was at Texas. And, so we played like a scrimmage basically against them, a 4-quarter game over at a high school that was away from everything. And of course I had like 20 points, and like 5 or 6 assists, and played really well, but, and nobody was there to see it, so it's kind of one of those things that just kind of stinks. But in the same sense, I learned a lot from that. After that happened, I then got a job in Paris, and was signed by a team called Paris Levallois over there. So that was an awesome experience too. And I don't know if you guys know Kenny Atkinson. He was a guy. He was the head coach of the New Jersey Nets for a little while, Brooklyn Nets now, that type of thing. And so he was actually the assistant coach when I was over in Paris. And so him and I had talked, for a long time. I actually ended up getting cut there after a month. And that's when I came back and played in the D League. It was called the D League back then.
Yep. Remember that.
That's how old I am now, I guess. So, but playing the D League for the Iowa Energy, and Nick Nurse was my coach, who obviously is now the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. And then Nate Bjorkgren was the assistant coach, and he was he's now the head coach of the Indiana Pacers. And actually, I'll go back on this. My head coach, my first year in Belgium, was a guy by the name of Chris Finch, who is now the head coach.
Super cool.
T-Wolves. We're T-Wolves guys, so we like Finch a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was so stoked when he got that, because I love the T-Wolves too. So, but yeah, so I've had some really good coaches. But my second year, like I said, I got cut, went to the D League for the Iowa Energy, stayed the whole year there, and kind of started the year I was playing the 2, and there's not a lot of 6'3" guys like me playing the 2 in the NBA. So, obviously it was a tough transition, because I knew that, if I was going to get a shot at the NBA, it was going to be a point guard. And the Bulls had sent down James on Curry to start at point guard for the Iowa Energy. And, in my opinion, he was more of a 2. He could really score the basketball. No doubt about that. At midway through the year, he got in a little bit of trouble. They released him, and then so I took over point guard for about the last 15 games of the year. And we were able to go 12-3, and Adam Haluska and Curtis Stinson were my backcourt teammates, which is kind of cool, Haluska and his pregnant wife lived with me for the last 15 games. They moved in, so it was kind of a crazy last 15 games. And then after that, I actually ended up signing back with the team in Belgium that I was with the first year. Chris Finch had moved on since then. And so about a week before I was supposed to go over, got a call from my agent telling me that they could still afford my salary, but they couldn't afford to be in the first league. So obviously that sends up red flags right there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to afford myself. You can't be in the first league. I don't know. So it kind of, but then in the end, it's such long time down the road already that, I wasn't going to get the salary that I got with them at the beginning of the year. So I said, all right, we'll go with it. I know the city, that type of thing. And so I went back over there, and of course, 3 days in, broke my foot. And then first payday comes along, nobody gets paid. And, which we were all kind of expecting it a little bit, but the next payday came around, we didn't get paid again, but we were getting a little bit of money here and there type of thing. And so finally, after about my bone finally healed after about 6 weeks, and so started working out again and played in about 3 games, and then actually didn't get paid again. So my agent, we got a deal in France, in Antibes, France, in the French Riviera. Which was really cool, went there and played in about 6 games. I was playing really well. And then I broke my foot in the exact same spot again against the Paris team that cut me the year before. And I was playing really well too. So I was like, man, I want to give it to these, I want to give it to these guys after them. And then, that happened in the middle of that game. I was just like, man, that's stinks. So then finally, I think I got healthy with about 5 games to go in the year. Came back, go up for a layup, come down on someone's foot, twist my ankle. And then I came back too early with about 2 games left. Something happened to my knee. So that summer I ended up having surgery on my knee and my ankle. And then, got a job over in Belgium again with a different team. I probably shouldn't have went. I wasn't healthy. But at that point, you're kind of like, I got to do what I got to do. And there for a month and got cut. And, I just told my wife at the time, I said, I'm just kind of tired of, not knowing what's going to happen next. What's going on here? Not that my job now, not that you don't know that sometimes, but, it was just one of those things where I'm flying across the country, getting hurt, flying back to get looked at, those types of things. And so decided to get into coaching. We moved to Des Moines. We love Des Moines. And so got an assistant job with West Des Moines Valley and Grandview at the same time, because NAIA, they don't have any rules really. Yeah. So I could kind of coach at both places and do that type of thing. And since I kind of came right around like December 1st or something like that, so I was just kind of looking for whatever at that point. And my wife had a job in Des Moines. It's Buzzard Billy's now, but it was called All Play before that. And so she was working there as an event manager. And we were just, had a lot of friends in Des Moines. It was a great experience. And then the year ended, and Fran McCaffrey and I were talking about me possibly being a GA on Iowa's staff. But when we talked about it, he had said that, Todd Licklider had gotten rid of the GA spot at Iowa as far as, what you were going to get, you're going to get your school paid for, where you're going to get a stipend, that type of thing. Right, so it's kind of like I would have committed to it, not knowing what he could have given me. Right. So, and then I applied for the West Des Moines Valley high school job, the head job, and got offered that. And so I kind of had a decision to make. And so, like I said, my wife and me really loved West Des Moines. And so ended up going with that. And then basically was there for about 4 years and went up to be director of basketball operations at the University of North Dakota under Brian Jones, who was an assistant at Iowa when I was there, and spent 4 great years there. Moved up to an assistant after a year, and now I'm head coach at Truman State, and just finished up my 3rd year and having a lot of fun being a head coach again.
That is awesome. That is, but
you're good.
We
it's
love
cool.
that because obviously being Iowa fans, we watched you, super fun, but we always don't know like maybe the after college experiences as well. Yeah, and especially back then. I mean, you don't have all the social media you do now. To follow a guy on Twitter or something to know where he's at. So that's super cool. I want to feel like I knew you broke your foot or did something at one point.
I remember hearing that
but
too.
I don't know how or why. But yeah. As I feel like I remember the story of you breaking your foot or something. I don't know how, but I don't know if it just.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember anything with it.
Couldn't tell you. That was.
How was the language barrier playing overseas?
Actually, where I was at, it was kind of some tourist destinations. So when you live in Belgium, there's two sides of the country. It's super small, by the way. You can get across the whole country in like 2 hours. So, but wild. There was the French side, and then there was the Dutch side, or the Flemish side, they like to call it. And so if you were on the Flemish side, they spoke Dutch, and a lot of people that were there spoke a ton of English. And so I was on that side both times I was over there, so it wasn't a big deal. If I would have spent more than a year consecutive, I would have definitely tried to learn the language. I just think that would have been respectful to do as well. Right. That way you're not just walking around always talking English and expect people to know your language. I think as Americans kind of try to do that here sometimes too. But Greg Bruner was he was on the French side for the first season when we were over there together, and then I believe the next year he ended up going to a Dutch side team too, and so he got the, we both loved it. We were like an hour away from each other, so on the weekends, we'd head up and go see each other after games and hang out and go to Paris or go to Amsterdam, that type of thing. So it was just a really cool experience. But the language barrier, just compared to where I was at, wasn't too bad, because then when I went to the French Riviera, obviously a ton of tourism, a lot of tourism there. So a lot of people spoke English.
Gotcha. That's always something I wonder, guys that go overseas, how that maybe plays into a part of their career, and maybe the difficulties with that.
Yeah, now you go to like Russia, or something like that. You're looking at a whole, somebody like Aaron White, who is making a crap ton of money over there, but is having to deal with that. He's got a family now too, so having kids, I'm sure that helps everything out. You're really focused on probably just your family and basketball, that type of thing. So when you're in those types of situations, I think it's a lot different. But I know Greg, learned quite a bit of Italian too, because he played in the Italian league for about, I want to say 6 or 7 years at least.
Interesting. Gotcha. Speaking of former Iowa guys, didn't Ryan Kriener, wasn't he just like a finalist for the MVP in whatever league he's in?
I think he was like a first team all league type.
I don't know what league he's in.
I don't know what league he's in either.
Yeah, he was in the same league that I was in. He played for a team called Leuven, which was like 30 minutes away from where I was. So, we follow each other on Twitter, so I tried to keep up with him. But those big guys are hard to. They're hard to come by over there. We actually, when I was up at North Dakota, we offered Ryan, and then he blew up the last summer. Like Clemson and Minnesota came in, and here's his North Dakota offer. I've been working on him for like 2 years. Gets the dream offer. So, but
that's tough.
Can't say I was disappointed he chose Iowa.
No,
he had a very good career.
His last year, he was a backup for Garza, obviously, but he had games where he absolutely balled out.
It really stinks they didn't get to see the end of that year out.
Yeah, exactly. That sucks too.
I remember that day in school. Iowa was about to play in the Big Ten tournament that day, and all of a sudden everything went away.
Then Ryan Kriener tweeted that
he claimed the national championship.
Title. Yeah. So Iowa was the national champion that year. They claimed dibs.
Exactly.
We were heading to the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis, and the Big Ten tournament had canceled the day before in Indianapolis. And I remember telling our AD, I was like, "Why are we leaving?" I was like, we were like 4 hours into our trip, and they called us, and they're like,
"That stinks.
Tournament's canceled." So we turned right back around and went home.
Have you watched Last Chance U at all? The Netflix show. Did you watch the basketball this last season?
Oh yeah.
So they're about to leave. They're getting on the bus, and then they got canceled too.
And it really stinks. I mean, it stinks for everybody, but for those kids that's kind of like their only shot at moving on.
That's how they get national eyes on
that
them,
coach is awesome too.
I like that coach a lot.
He was very cool.
This whole thing has messed with recruiting. Whether you're a senior in high school, you're a junior college, or just a transfer. Transfers are almost all the way up to 1,800 guys right now in the transfer portal. So COVID has just really really screwed with a lot of people. These last couple of years for sure, no doubt.
Yeah, because you get the extra year if you want it. Like Bohannon's getting a 6th year.
That takes away possible scholarships.
It takes away a scholarship coming in. Yeah, it's been wild. Thankfully, it seems like we're getting back to mainly normal here. But on that point, for your season, this past year, how did that go dealing with COVID and different protocols and such?
Yeah, it was definitely tough because, at the beginning of the year, basketball, obviously in basketball, you have a preseason, and then obviously you have your season, and then you have postseason. And so our preseason, guys are coming into school, everyone's wearing masks, but at that point, we can't go into the gym yet because everyone's still trying to figure things out. And usually you get 4 hours a week on the court. So, the way we do it sometimes is we'll do like groups of 3 workouts, and we'll do 30 minutes with one group, one day, and then we'll do a team practice for about an hour, another day, that type of thing, until we get up to 4 hours, and we lift 4 days a week in the preseason too. So, it just kind of stunk because a lot of the freshman kids, who are expecting somewhat of a normal year didn't get to see what it was like before the season started. So, we're doing that. And then, finally, I want to say it was like October 1st, which was like 2 weeks before our first practice. We got pushed through to be able to do some of the preseason stuff. And so, but guys were wearing masks and trying to work out in masks. And, I can barely walk up the stairs with a mask on.
I agree.
So
yes.
I can't imagine what they were feeling, trying to run up and down a court with one on. And so, it was tough for that. And then once our season started, once competition started, we had to test once a week. And basically the NCAA came out and said that we had to do 3 times a week, but our conference was like, there's no way we can afford that. So we basically went to one time a week for everybody to get tested. And, we tried to give guys 2 days in a row off before we would test. So that way, if it was, you try to say, hey, stay away from everyone. That way, if someone tests positive, it's only you and your roommates that get put into quarantine, that type of thing. So it was definitely difficult on that aspect because I think that, you're trying to figure out, well, how can we practice? What days should we take off? Well, if we practice here and someone tests positive, is it going to put the whole team in quarantine? So I think that's why, in my opinion, you saw a lot of older coaches, like a Roy Williams or a Mike Krzyzewski or Tom Izzo, who are used to just being like, I'm going to do things the way I want to do things. And you're not going to tell me any different. Maybe struggled this year a little bit because it's harder to adapt to those types of things. That's just my opinion on that. But like I said, we kept on going, one time a week, and we almost made it through the entire season. And then we tested on a Tuesday morning. We had a kid that didn't feel well Tuesday afternoon, and that Tuesday morning he had just tested negative, and so then we practiced. He thought it was food poisoning, and the next day he tested positive for COVID after we practiced that night too. And so it's kind of like, in hindsight, I wish I would have told him to stay home, but in the same sense, then we had a couple guys who did end up getting it throughout the quarantine process, and actually those guys got out of quarantine before the guys that didn't have it. So
yeah, it's weird how that works.
Yeah,
it was just extremely difficult. And but then we actually go to the NCAA regionals. We were the number 1 seed in our regional, and we went to Evansville, Indiana, and we got tested every single day. I mean, it was like nonstop. And so I would bet the last 2-3 weeks of our season, we probably got tested 15, 16 times. So it was rough. Nobody tested positive though. So, I'll commend our guys for just being able to, they really wanted to play. And instead of being a normal college kid who was an athlete as well, it was just like you were an athlete and just a student, and that was it. And, they tried to stay away from, parties, that type of thing. And, Guys at our school are just extremely focused, and that's one thing I loved about our team. That's probably why we had a really good year. But it was definitely extremely tough with all the masks, all the testing, those types of things. But you could tell how much our guys wanted it by the way they acted, off the court for sure.
Right. I mean, like you said, the logistics, trying to figure out when you explained when to practice, when they tested, maybe give them a day off to make sure it's negative. Like, that just adds on to everything you have to do already. I can't imagine how you control that. Like, and then even like you said, the freshman kids coming in just hoping for a normal year. Well, they're going into their sophomore, redshirt freshman year, depending on what it is, still not knowing what a normal college year athletic-wise is like, which stinks. But hopefully by the time you start next year, I mean, seems like the Big Ten, college stadiums are going to be full for football. It should be okay. Yeah.
Hopefully normal year.
Well, and then one thing for us too, our conference didn't allow fans. So, I look at, even though our seniors got an extra year this year, none of the seniors at our school are going to use the extra year just because, they have jobs lined up. They want to get on with their lives. Not everyone's going to be, professional basketball players or think that they're going to be professional basketball players at this level. And so, for their parents, not being able to really get to go to any of their games their senior year when they've kind of grown up, with basketball and all that kind of stuff, just kind of, it kind of stinks for them. But luckily we made it far enough where, where we were playing, the arena did allow fans and they got to see them in about the last 4 games of the year, which was really good for them.
Yeah. And that is tough. I mean, kind of lead to the next question, but like I think people would say we're pretty diehard Lake Mills basketball fans, and we've been pretty good recently.
Yep.
So when we found out you'd get I was like 2 tickets per player or whatever.
It had to be like family members.
Yeah, we're like, well, crap, we're not going to be able to go.
We knew Lake Mills was going to be really good.
Yeah, so then we did the live stream thing, and thankfully by the end, postseason, sub-state game for sure, they allowed the gym to be full.
Yeah, just with masks on.
And even to get to that point from where we were, like, that's normal, but it was so cool to see, to get to that point for people to get in the gym and watch. And then obviously State was pretty full, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the first loud crowd we had was pretty jarring too.
Yeah,
like, even though it would have been a normal,
we weren't used to it.
Yeah, even like an okay crowd felt like, oh my gosh, this crowd is rocking right now.
Yeah. But
I think it just makes people appreciate, what sports does for society too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
People, some people say, well, sports isn't the only thing out there, this and that. Well, and I agree with that 100%. But in the same sense, sports brings people together. When you play sports, you learn a lot from it, not just about, winning or losing, that type of thing. But I just really feel like, hopefully this makes you appreciate sports, regardless of what level it is, whether it's little kids or all the way up to the NBA. I think people are going to, have a new appreciation for it for sure.
I think I totally agree with that.
Yep.
But yeah, so you are getting a kid that just absolutely torched our own hometown team.
Holy cow.
First half for sure.
The 30-footer he hit to end the half was...
Well, I'm sure you've seen that. Like, we're sitting there, we're up 3, maybe going to half, and I'm like, there's 5 seconds left. He's not driving. I was like, hey, shoot the ball.
He's about to pull this.
He shot it and he made it.
Yeah, and we were sitting up pretty high too. Like we were in the media, I guess. I don't need the press box.
Yeah.
And it makes the shot look even deeper too. It's a deep shot already.
Yeah.
But it was unbelievable.
For people that don't know who we're talking about, Trey Shearer from Montezuma, obviously in my opinion, probably the quickest kid we saw all year.
Oh, by far. It wasn't even close.
And then just with a great shot as well. How would you describe him as a player?
Well, first off, that shot. So I was talking to Jeff Scogan, who, by the way, still says that he's a Lake Mills great in just about every single sport. I'm just so you guys know.
Name's in the lunchroom a couple times.
Yeah. I can't remember. Our family always give him crap because when they made it to state, my dad said that he went up for a wide open layup and threw it underneath the backboard and just missed everything, something like that. So
this is like an Uncle Jesse on full.
We definitely, bring that up to him. But I didn't get to watch the game, and I think we were in practice, and so throughout practice, I'd kind of go over to my phone and I'd text Jeff Scogan, hey, what's going on? Because he was watching the game, and he goes, this little kid from Montezuma is just killing us. And I was like, oh, yeah? I was like, oh, really? I said, what's his name? Because I knew who it was, obviously. And, and I said, he's coming to us next year. Do you know that? Oh, well, geez, this and that. And then the funny part is he made like a highlight tape. Everyone does the highlight tapes now. Trey made one. And the first thing on it was the 30-footer from against Lake Mills.
It probably should be.
Yeah. And so the thing that I love about Trey is that he's just a winner. He comes in, he works every single day. He's a great kid. If you go and you look at Twitter, those types of things, not only is he playing basketball, but he's playing golf, he's playing football, he's doing all these other things. And, so he wants to win. He had I think he had 10 touchdowns in the state championship football game for 8 minutes.
That's right. Or something wild game.
Yeah. So, that's one thing is he competes, but, in saying that too, as well, I had a point guard this year who I actually coached when I was at West Des Moines Valley. His name is Turner Scott, and he's about a 5'10" little dude that when he walks in the gym, you're looking at him and you're like, well, who's this 5-year-old, and then all of a sudden he comes out on the basketball court and he just torches you, and he just brings toughness, speed. And like I said, the biggest thing about that is he's just a winner, but, he can shoot, he can make plays for other people. And the thing about him is he's going to have to, depending on where it's at, he's obviously going to compete for playing time for us this year. And, the one thing that he's going to have to understand, just like, a lot of people do when they go from high school to college, is he doesn't have to come in and be the man right away, and I think that's going to be super important for him. But in saying that, he doesn't care about those things, and he's super unselfish, and that's what you need from a point guard and someone that's going to be able to lead your team. But, he's just a great kid. He's a great person. And I'm super excited to have him. But, if I had to describe him in one word, it'd just be 2 words. I'd say he's a tough winner. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Tough winner. Yeah. And to your point where he plays multiple sports, like kids that are very good in one, it's almost becoming more common to see them only play that one or maybe another one.
It's because they're kind of getting told, like, hey, you need to specialize in this right away.
Right. Yeah. And you play all summer. And in my opinion, you need that break. I mean, should you work on your game? Yes. But at some point, I feel like down the line, you almost get burnt out if that's all you're doing.
And playing those other sports develops other skills, just
Correct.
Mental toughness,
Correct.
He said, how to win.
And you have to work with different teammates in different sports.
Exactly.
So it's
for sure.
It was,
some of that too is on, now you have AAU, basketball, AAU baseball, all these things. And, so now you're hearing stuff from different coaches and this and that. And, one coach is pulling you this way, another coach is pulling you that way. You got parents as another, thing that they're pulling you this way. If I can say anything to kids nowadays, it's play as many sports as possible with your friends, because when high school ends, you're gonna miss out on those memories with your buddies, or your teammates, that type of thing. I played baseball, football, basketball, ran track, and I just, in the end, I didn't get to play baseball my senior year, and there's nothing more that I regret in my life than being able to do that, because I had to, go down to Iowa City. If I could do it all over again, I probably would have, told Coach Alford, hey, I'm going to play baseball, because Iowa was the only state, of course, that plays summer baseball for Iowa, So, but yeah, it just teaches you a lot of things, I feel like.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think there's been studies, or not studies, but they'll come out with stats too, Ohio State football team, a percentage of them that plays multiple sports. It's one of the things that when Urban Meyer was there that he looked for. He wanted multi-sport guys. Hopefully that's a kind of a attitude that keeps building up. We want people to play multiple sports, especially for small schools, small school Iowa. All the athletes you can get.
Yes.
But yeah, baseball, we're baseball guys too. Senior year of baseball, man. I feel bad for you that you didn't get to experience that. It's a very good time.
I just you don't have to go to school while you play the sport.
I know.
For the most part.
Yeah.
What's better than that?
And it's not like it's a strenuous sport, but it's not like a football game where you're just physically spent afterwards.
Right, yeah. And let's be honest, the most strenuous part is probably just because it's hot.
Yeah.
Like most of the time you're standing there waiting for the play.
Or keeping your arm like healthy.
Or that, yeah. Yeah, yep, that's absolutely true.
But yeah. On to the next question. I guess we kind of already described it with Trey, but like, what's like one characteristic you look for in a recruit? If you could pick one.
Yeah, for me, it's just, winner. I think that's probably, the biggest thing, because if you have a winner, I feel like the character of that person is probably going to be there too as well. We signed 5 guys this year, and they're all from the state of Iowa. 3 of them at one point have won a state basketball championship. Another one has been to the state tournament, and the other one was a first-team All-State player too as well from Cedar Rapids Kennedy. So who they had a good year. They took Johnston. They were in Johnston's sub-state this year, who finished second 4A. They took them to overtime, So it was one of those things where, that's one characteristic that I think gets very overlooked in recruiting, because I think you have a lot of college coaches who, when they're looking at kids, all they look for is just the talent, and they think that they're going to maybe change their attitude, or they're going to change, the way they, do their schoolwork or their everyday habits.
Yep. They think like, I can change that. I can make him do different stuff. They think they can. Yeah.
Correct. And then what happens is, those coaches start getting, tired of dealing with those kids' everyday habits, and then they wonder, why they're having issues in the locker room or those types of things. And I'm not saying every coach does that or anything, or I have the answers to all those, but that's definitely one thing that I really realized when I came to Truman State, because we're extremely high academic here. It's super high academic. I'm not sure I could have gotten into this school. So, but and what goes with that is then you kind of, you take away the guys who may be on the edge, who, like I said, their everyday habits aren't great. But, the thing with D2 basketball is when these kids go home for the summertime, I can't do anything with them as a coach. Whereas in D1, you can have them there working out with the coaches, that type of thing. And so you definitely have to make sure that you have guys that you can trust to go home, work out throughout the summer, and get better. Because I tell you what, when you come back, who did the work and who didn't.
Exactly.
Or even just by, looking at the first couple of workouts, for sure.
Yeah, that's like, so I played college football at Waldorf, NAIA school, and I just graduated from there. And it was one of those things, like, right when you get back from the summer, it's like at weights and stuff, you can tell who did the work and you can tell who didn't. And some guys just don't have that, I don't know, that want to over the summer, which is something.
They can't hold themselves accountable.
Exactly. And I don't know, it's a great thing to look for in a recruit, just accountability, making sure they do what they're supposed to and nobody's watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's flip it a little bit on you. How would you describe your coaching style?
Intense. I mean, that's just the way I've done everything my entire life, too, as well. Everything that I've tried to do, just in life in general, whether it's school, I've always just wanted to be the best. Now, I think I've kind of, tried to peel that back a little bit here in the past couple of years after I was diagnosed with cancer, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, where, it's kind of like, well, your life flashes before your eyes, and it's like, all right, well, what's really important now,
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was something that was tough. I'm still an intense guy, but in the same sense, I feel like I have more of a understanding of, just more of the way, what kids are going through, those types of things as they're going through that. And just, to be more with my family, that type of thing too, has been a big thing for me, which I've been spending, obviously I'm in the off season now. So it's kind of like, I'm just, family and golf at this point, for me, and, just trying to keep in touch with our guys that are back home. And obviously you guys know, when you're part of a team, that is your family too, as well. And, people say, well, it's not part of your family, this and that. Well, yeah, it is, and that's something that's super important in my opinion too, that, people who don't know sports or anything like that, they don't understand those aspects of that, is just the family portion of it. But I'm an intense guy. But in the same sense, I'll be the first guy to yell at you and then be the first guy to put my arm around you and say, everything's going to be all right. Let's move on from it.
Yep.
Finding that good mix of, you know, coaching, getting on somebody, and then loving at the same time. I think that's a huge balance in coaching.
Especially at the college level. If you're not intense or like competitive, you're probably not going to be a very good coach.
Yeah.
But there's also a line that you need to
build that trust. Like, hey, I know why this guy's coaching me up. He's not doing it just to pick on me. He's doing it because he knows I can be better.
Absolutely. And kind of backtrack a sec. Kind of followed it from afar when you got diagnosed. Saw you made it through. Obviously, weren't near you to tell you how great that was, but saw it on Facebook and things. So super happy that you got through that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a crazy time. I wouldn't wish chemo on my worst enemy. So it was definitely made me, realize a lot of things, that's for sure, and change a lot of things. And just kudos to my family for sticking by my side for sure. That was couldn't have got through without them, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, now we're actually going to go way back. So if you recruited yourself in high school, how would you describe yourself as a recruit, as a basketball player?
Oh, man. If I was describing myself, I would say that when I was on the court, I was probably disliked quite a bit, probably an arrogant little punk, I guess you could call me, because now I have a son and he gets so mad at just the small things. He'll throw his glove down or something like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we got to fix this, because my sisters always used to be embarrassed when they'd come to my games and I would, make a face or do something like that. And, you don't realize those things until obviously after you're done with it, I guess you could say. So, but in the same sense, I think that I was always someone that you wanted on your team. So, if I was recruiting myself, I would probably just say that I love the toughness in the winter, which is what I was explaining with of who I recruit now, probably because that's a lot like me. But, I've had some coaches that say, where we're talking about basketball and they're like, you're going to have a hard time finding guys that are like you, Jeff, because your mentality was just a lot different. I think even if you ask Jeff Scogan, that question, he was like, your mentality was just different than everyone else's. And I would just say my mental toughness was just, pretty good, and didn't ever get rattled with a whole lot of stuff. So I think that's something that, will always play a part in that. But if I was recruiting myself, I could see where some coaches were like, I'm not recruiting him. He acts like a little punk,
So kind of maybe like somebody you hate to play, or that you don't like, that if they're not on your team, but if they're on your team, you love them. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think if you ask a lot of my teammates, I think, like that didn't know me or those types of things. And then when they finally got to know me or they played with me, they were like, oh, this guy's awesome to play with, but when we play against him, I want to, punch him in the face. So
that's funny.
That is funny.
How would you say your game, or what area of your game did you think you improved the most from high school to college? What thing did you had to work on to make it as a legitimate college point guard to be really good?
Yeah, so actually the first time I ever broke my foot was actually going into my freshman year at Iowa. I broke my 5th metatarsal, and then when I was overseas, I actually broke my 4th one in my right foot. And so at that point, when I was in high school, I was a really good athlete. I could run, jump, those types of things. And then obviously, kind of when you get to college, I wouldn't say that I was very athletic, but I was still a pretty good athlete. And so one thing that I had to get better at was just kind of, running a team, I guess you could say. Because I felt like when I was probably at Mason City, I probably had to do more scoring, or I had to do whatever it took to win games. And so then as I got to Iowa, and obviously you got, other Division I players around you, it was, all right, how could I get this guy that just hit 2 threes, another 3, coming down in transition, or how am I going to get, Bruner touch on the block, since he just scored 6 points in a row. Like, we got to keep going to him every single time down. So I think it was just, being able to control the game, not necessarily by scoring the basketball, and probably scoring when I had to, where, we had a cold streak or something like that, and trying to figure those things out. So, the biggest thing was just because I knew I wasn't going to be more athletic than a lot of people. I knew I wasn't going to be. So I just had to be tougher and learn how to control a game at at one of the most important positions, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And back then it was very important, but I feel like even today's game, and you probably could attest to this too, the point guard is so important to a team.
Just get everybody involved.
Just with how the game has evolved over time. It's so fun to watch a dominant point guard.
And obviously you're a really good shooter too, so if you play in today's game, you probably would have shot more threes, probably even had more assists on kickouts, just a lot more spaced out game.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. You don't have that, at least in NBA and upper D1 schools. They don't have the traditional post, it seems like, anymore, which is why Luka Garza was so dominant. Yeah, which it's the Steph Curry effect.
Yep.
Essentially.
Most impactful player probably in the past 20 years.
I will say, though, that is maybe my favorite highlight to watch of his NCAA tournament run.
Davidson.
Him, just the shots he could make and get as not a great athlete and a small guy in college. Just the stuff he could get off.
Obviously, they're facing far superior teams. He had a couple guys playing with him, but
they did that.
He had to do so much for that team.
The Love guy, the post was pretty good.
He was pretty good, and then one of their point guards, was all right.
Richard or something. No, that was fun.
Well, then as we look back on it too, knowing that the Timberwolves could have had him
twice.
To be fair, he's not half the player if the Timberwolves.
Yeah, he doesn't turn into.
Timberwolves
are
still been really good, but there's
would have been way better than Johnny Flynn.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Johnny Flynn.
That is not hard.
Golly, David Kahn, screw you.
Hey, we got Rubio though.
We did get. Yeah, that is true.
We got him back.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get rid of him soon. I guess focusing on your time at Iowa, how would you describe your time playing at Iowa? I guess going to school. Just kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah, it was a dream come true. I grew up always wanting to be a Hawkeye, and actually, when I was a freshman in high school, Larry Eustachy was the head coach at Iowa State, and then that was kind of the year where I think it was my 8th grade year, where Tom Davis was kind of in his last year, I believe it was, and so, they kind of gave him they call it the lame duck year, I guess you could say, where he was there. And so Eustachy kind of came in on me when I was an 8th grader. And I think he kind of, was trying to get in there before Iowa had named a new coach, that type of thing. And, he did a really good job. I got to admit, I really liked, how hard he was recruiting me, that type of thing. He was coming to my games as like an 8th grader. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's nuts.
And so, looking back on it, super smart thing to do if you're trying to get somebody. But I also knew, I was going to obviously wait to see who got the Iowa job too. Just because obviously I grew up an Iowa fan. I had to make sure I wait for that. I grew up watching Dean Oliver play, and made many trips down to Iowa City with my dad and Dean. To games, those types of things. So obviously I grew up, in that fan base type of thing. So, so then Alford came in, and I was I was kind of his first commit, I guess you could say, as like a 9th grader or something like that. Like I said, I grew up a Hawk fan. It was a dream come true. From the moment I got there, like I said, that first summer I broke my foot. That was kind of rough because, I put on some weight that necessarily wasn't probably good for me because I couldn't really do anything, and then it was like, well, then you come back and you're out of shape, and then, I got to get back into shape. And so it was just that freshman year was just a really big struggle for me, just in terms of everything, because you go from, shooting, 25 shots a game, and people say it was because my dad was the coach, that type of thing, which it probably was a little bit, but it was one of those things where, now, like I talked to you guys about, I have to learn how to get other people involved a little bit more. Not that I wasn't a good passer in high school, but I didn't really know, what controlling the game meant in other aspects. It was like, well, maybe they need me to get 8 rebounds tonight. Maybe they need me to get 10 assists tonight, make 2 free throws at the end of the game, take a couple charges. So, just learning those types of things. But, school and basketball and just, having guys around me who I knew too. We had a lot of guys from Iowa on the team, so we knew a lot of guys. And, obviously, I'm sure you guys have been to Iowa City. I didn't really get a tailgate at football games until after I was done playing in college because we always did shirts and skins. And so, now I get to see that aspect of it, but that's obviously a really fun time, no doubt. But, just going to school there and knowing that it's always going to be a place that I can call home was just an unbelievable experience, because when you grow up and you think, man, I get to play basketball here. Like, it was just a dream come true for me, for sure.
Yeah, no, actually a fun fact that my friends always make fun of me for. Being a diehard Iowa fan, I've never been to an Iowa football game.
I haven't either.
We've been to basketball. Really?
I've heard it's unreal.
And they're going to roast me again for it, but it's, Well, I had planned on it this past season, but that wasn't ever going to happen.
We've been to a couple basketball games. Like we went
They're undefeated when we go to a basketball game.
They are undefeated when we go to a basketball game. What year is it when we went to the Michigan State one?
That was when Licklider was there. It was like
40 to 30 something.
Who was the
super low scoring? I can't even remember.
Tony Freeman? Was that the point guard?
Tony Freeman was probably on that team.
Yeah, it was like 42-35. Yep, it was they weren't very good, but they beat Michigan State.
Yeah, beat a ranked team. We went to that game. It was super cool. I think we went to Roy Marble, Devin Marble when he went off against Michigan in the first half.
Yeah, we drove down in a snowstorm.
Yeah, and Woodbury dunked that game and shushed the crowd, even though we were up
25. It took him about a 20-foot run to get up there.
He had to build up so much steam to dunk.
He's shushing his own crowd.
Yeah, because because the whole year, obviously Iowa fans are giving him crap because they've never seen him dunk, and he's 7 foot.
Let's be real, it wasn't even that thunderous of a dunk.
Oh, no, it was a rim grazer for a 7-footer. It was pretty unathletic, but it was still a dunk nonetheless.
Did he just freeze?
Oh, here we go.
There we go. Video's catching up. There we go. Okay, so I believe I have the timing correct. Fresh out of college, you held like a kids camp. I don't know if it was at Nyack or Mesa City High, didn't you?
It was at Nyack.
Do you remember? Do you?
Just show it.
Matt. I was right. It was at Nyack.
It was at Nyack. Yeah,
Matt said, my brother said it was the high school.
Show him it. See if he remembers.
Do you remember this?
Oh yeah. Was that Was that the or was that the one when we all came back?
I think it was just him.
I think it was just you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a one-day thing. There's a hot shot competition for your shorts and your jersey. I won the older one. My brother won the younger one. He tried to take the jersey, but that wasn't going to happen.
That's not going to fly with an older brother.
Yeah,
the older brother's obviously going to get the jersey.
And this one didn't show up.
Yeah, I refused to go. My mom's like, hey, because we're a group of 4 boys and 1 younger sister, and the 3 older boys were all going, and I don't even know how old I was. And my mom's like, hey, Zach, you should go, and started crying, said no, because I can't shoot a one-handed layup. I was like in 2nd or 3rd grade. So I didn't go to a Jeff Horner basketball camp because I couldn't shoot a layup correctly. That's the only reason. And then they won the contest. That's what I'm saying. I should have.
That's what the camp was for.
I should have. Gosh, that was the whole point.
And we'll get to another couple stories, but Jeff, you'll know you provide about 3 or 4 really funny stories for us.
Funny stories. That's kind of
that was one of them.
Yep.
This next one was not funny at the time, probably for you, but the second oldest, so after me, Taylor, when I was getting the jersey signed after camp, he came up and asked you how you felt after you lost to Northwestern State. I was like,
well, he's probably in like 5th or 6th grade.
Oh yeah,
and he was totally innocent.
Probably thought he was just great, like basketball. Like, I know I'm showing my knowledge here.
Yeah,
just not a great question.
And he claims to this day you handled it really well, like you laughed it off and stuff. But that's one of the toughies for Taylor.
Let me just tell you this: he's not the first kid to ever ask me that question.
Okay, good.
At least he had good intentions.
That is true. That is true.
Going off of, we don't want to harp on that game too much, but there's another funny story with it. I think I was maybe in 2nd grade, 1st grade, and it was the day you guys were playing during school, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna miss the Iowa game. Like,
I missed it too because there's back then you can't watch on your phone. You don't have a laptop.
Exactly.
Like, it's the middle of the day. App. Yeah.
And I go to the nurse. I say, I don't feel well, and she calls my dad. Says, he doesn't have a fever.
This is 100%
doesn't have a sore
true.
throat. He just says he doesn't feel very good. So my dad knew what I was doing. He picks me up, takes me home. I slept through the entire game. When I got home, I missed the entire game. I wake up
school to watch the game, and you missed the whole game.
And I found out that Iowa lost, and that wasn't good.
But I've told this every time. Can we point out how close Adam Haluska got on making that shot?
He almost made it. The buzzer beater.
He literally had to double pump in the air.
The front of the rim, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is when he caught it, I just put my head down. I was just like,
yeah.
Well, the shot they made was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it was covered, fade away in the corner.
The other thing is, that I tell people, if he would have been in the other corner, he probably hits the side of the backboard.
Yeah.
But because the ball's over here,
right-handed,
and now he's got to shoot it across his body, whereas he's on the other. It just so happens he's on the other side. But
Mm-hmm.
It was a tough. That was tough because, in the end, I'll never forget this. We were up 17, and Alfred took Bruner and me out of the game and was like, hey, we got to get him some rest. We just played, 3 games in 3 days where they played 40 minutes.
That's right.
Tournament. And I was like, no, let's just we got to get this game, and then, I think we went back in and we were still up 7 or 8, but, they had the momentum at that point. And it was it just seemed like whatever could go wrong, went wrong.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know. It was just a snowball effect. It just sucked. That's for sure. So terrible way to end your career. And especially, just me, even just being a Hawkeye fan, my whole life, knowing that that's the way it ended is just, big time struggle for sure. So I think
that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I remember very vaguely, you guys won the Big Ten tournament though, right?
Yep. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
I do remember that very vaguely. I mean, at least that's something you can at least hold on to. Say hey, we won the Big Ten championship.
That's true. They would have been the last. You would have been the last team to do that then.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Because was Wrecker before you?
Oh yeah, he had to have been.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up missing Wrecker by a year. Because he was in school for 7 years, 6 or 7. I don't even know how many years. Obviously Indiana and Arizona. It was well, it was because he transferred, got hurt.
Yeah.
So it was he had to sit out a year. Then it was a medical red shirt, and so I think I ended up missing him by only 1 year or something like that. So it was crazy for sure.
Yeah, and I guess. You probably still ball up a little bit, but we've seen you play a couple times at the alumni tournament at Nyack, and you might be older now. You might have lost a bit, but I compare it to Jason Kidd. We do player comps on our broadcast and compare high school kids to NBA players. You're like Jason Kidd out there. Literally, if there's a hole this big for you to get a pass through, you're going to get it through there, and that's your passing was the most impressive part of your game to me, at least now.
I think maybe. What the last time he played was Garner.
Might have been
Garner,
maybe.
Yeah. So
and we stayed and watched.
Because I never forget this, because the Mason City one, it was like we won it like 7 years. Like, so we will always have our like Mason City one, just our Mason City one, and we won it like 7 years in a row. And then they changed the date on it to like make it like Thanksgiving. So then I don't get back to the Thanksgiving one. You know,
they had to change the rules just so then you couldn't win.
I wouldn't even like.
But that I remember the Garner one for sure. So I think my nephew Sam Scogan was playing with me, and so it was a good time. So I don't play that much anymore. I played a couple of times with the guys last year, a little bit on our team, but I got to have pretty bad hip surgery, so my wife has kind of put the kibosh to even slow pitch softball, I guess. So
slow pitch is so fun.
Slow pitch, you can get hurt though.
That is true.
There's
definitely a risk of injury playing softball, but there's not many things more fun than just playing slow pitch softball with your adult friends.
As long as you don't strike out.
Yeah, you can't strike out. Oh my gosh.
Well, especially when you're an idiot like me. I slid head first last year, which was just dumb. So
2 years ago I slid feet first with shorts on. Told myself I wasn't sliding. I was playing in shorts. Told myself all day I was not going to slide.
But when it comes down to it, you slide.
It was just reaction. I'm going to slide. I ended up being safe. Like, it was worth it.
So that's all that counts.
Huge scrape on my leg. I had to do it. It's just that competitiveness, competitiveness of slow pitch softball when you're a washed up athlete. Like I got to do it.
Yeah, no, when you get older, you got to find those ways to be competitive, and right now it's me.
Brings it out.
So I teach 8th grade social studies in Forest City, and I go join during my prep hour gym class. So like we're playing kickball the other day.
Up on 8th graders.
We're playing kickball, and I'm throwing the ball as hard as I can at the kids to get them out.
You're so I would hate you if I was one of those 8th graders.
Oh, they probably do.
They probably do. But we'll kind of transition to more of our rapid fire. We call it rapid fire. Sometimes it turns into not rapid.
Yep.
So quick answers.
The first question is probably know the answer, but we'll ask it anyways.
So the first question is, what's the best team you've played on? Any level.
Definitely my senior year at Iowa.
Yeah. I knew that was going to be it.
Gotcha. You don't have to answer this. You can name a couple, but who's your favorite teammate you've ever played with?
It doesn't have to be talent either. It can just be maybe the person in general.
Man, I would definitely. Well, yeah, that's tough.
Man. You can pick a couple. You only got to pick one.
I'd probably have to say these. I got like 4 guys: Bruner, Hluska, J.R. Engel, and Jack Brownlee. So if you guys knew those,
I would have gotten the first 2.
Brownlee, was that he had a ton of assists in high school? Wasn't there?
Yes.
I remember seeing that on the record.
St. Edmunds.
St. Ed's, yep. Okay.
Oh, St. Ed's.
And do you still? I'm sure you still keep up with all those guys. Are you guys like in a group chat or anything?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just I was actually just in Arizona with Engel, so we had a good time.
That's awesome.
That is super cool. Let's see. Any level, best player you've played against?
LeBron James.
You played against LeBron?
Yep. So
was that in the?
Played with him in high school. I was going to be a senior, and then he was going to be a junior, and we were in the youth festival Olympic Games.
Oh, okay.
We actually ended up being on the same team, but we scrimmaged against each other, that type of thing too. So I kind of count that as playing against.
I'm not gonna lie. I did not expect that.
I did not expect that answer either. I didn't know you played.
That is our and we love Taylor's favorite player.
LeBron's our dude.
We'll follow him.
Like, how clear was it that he was just on a whole other level?
Well, so a lot of people, obviously him and so Carmelo's in my grade, and so when I was in the Jordan game, we played against Carmelo's team. So I played against Carmelo too, and so it was like we played against Carmelo in the gold medal game. We were the North, which I don't know how Ohio was. I guess Ohio's in the North. I don't know, whatever. But we played against them, and it was just everyone was trying to compare those two, and I was like, Carmelo's definitely a big time scorer. Like, I don't get
yes.
but it was obvious that LeBron just kind of had the entire package.
Yeah.
Watching the what's the name?
More
of
Than a
his,
Game.
More Than a
documentary.
Game. Seeing him evolve, even as a freshman, he's very good. But like him evolve to a senior, it's a man.
It's unbelievable.
And he claims he didn't lift really until the NBA, like consistently.
Yeah, well, they show him a little bit doing some stuff senior
right,
year,
but maybe not
see.
like.
So they lost the state title game when they were juniors. LeBron, there's a clip of him guaranteeing that he's not going to let his team lose, and they lose his junior year, and then the whole senior year is kind of them going for that national title, and it's awesome.
They
it's just 5 kids from the same neighborhood.
That's what makes it cool. It's not like a prep school where they have all moved in. Like, it's literally kids that grew up together besides one of them.
Yep, Romeo Travis is the one that moves in.
Well, I'll never forget, too, when we were in Colorado Springs, and the first time that, like, I didn't know who he was. And so, I was like, I thought I was, a really good player in high school and ranked, this and that, blah, 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 whatever. And so we got done playing. I was like, gosh, Dad, that dude, like, he doesn't pass, or whatever. And so now I know how my high school teammates feel. Anyways,
that's funny.
So he goes, well, do you know who that is? And I said, no, and he's like, well, that's LeBron James, and he's probably the best player out of any class at this entire thing. And he's going to be the number one pick in the NBA draft in 2 years. So just be quiet, and I was like,
and
sounds good. So,
and it's funny how you thought like, oh, this guy doesn't pass, and then he ends up arguably being a top 3 passer of all time. Like,
but the best thing is like,
well, that's what the
he doesn't need to.
The comparison with those guys, I always say LeBron should be more compared to Magic, and Kobe and Jordan should be more compared because they were similar. I think the Jordan LeBron comparison is. I don't know. There's such different players, so I struggle with that one. Yeah. I like Jordan. That's my opinion, but
okay,
that's fine.
Yeah,
I think they're both. I think they're both unreal though. So
yes, they're just two completely different
ways.
Yeah. Let's see. Favorite sport besides basketball?
Football.
Yeah.
So
and that's to play and watch.
Yes. Yep, for sure.
Okay.
So,
do you have a favorite NFL team?
I'm the Vikings. I'm all Minnesota.
Oh, let's go.
Perfect. Well, so you feel the pain.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've always said I'm going to die about 10 years early strictly off of what they caused me.
Wait, I don't want to interject, but we also have the LeBron block
we do have the LeBron
picture
block
in the background. I forgot about that. Vikings, man. They better do something this year.
When you said about the game, like, if something can go wrong, it will. That's like every year.
That's
for the
Minnesota Vikings football right there.
Everything.
What would you say is the toughest arena to play in the Big Ten?
Okay, hold on. Toughest, I think I have one answer, but there's an arena that I always remember we hated watching them go to, and I'm going to wait to see what he says.
So I think that you're probably going to say the toughest arena to play in, or that I'm going to give your answers that I think. Probably Michigan State, because we always got killed there. I actually like playing at Michigan State though, but my toughest arena was always, I thought, was Illinois. So
okay.
Yeah, no, Michigan State, we just kind of expected what would happen. Like, they were always super good, and for whatever reason, never shot well or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we played there, it was like they couldn't miss either. Like, it was just like, I was like, no matter how good a defense we played, it was like they weren't missing. So, but yeah, it was Illinois, and I'm guessing that the arena that you hated to watch was Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking
that's a good one, too.
Hall.
And it's not even that the arena's good, it's just Northwestern. We never played well at Northwestern.
They have a new arena now.
They do now, yes. We just like I think you guys won most of the time, but it never was like double digits like it should be. It was always like 5 points. Like, they just would muck the game up. And
I hated Northwestern. They ran the Princeton offense, and it was just like, it was just terrible to play against. It was like, oh my gosh, like, can we just play? So
like obviously I've never played against a Princeton offense, obviously, but it feels like as a defender, like you always have to be mindful. Like you can never fall asleep. You just always have to be on edge, ready to go. That'd be really mentally wearing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You'd almost be better off, as a coach now. I'm like, if you play against someone that has the Princeton offense, he's playing his own. So that way it gets out of your but most of the time if you're running the Princeton offense too, you have guys that can shoot the basketball. It's a struggle.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, with the Illinois thing, that was kind of peak Illinois, at least maybe your junior year.
Yeah, that was so D Brown and Darren Williams are in my grade too. Okay. Luther Head was a year older. James Augustine was, so they finished second my junior year, because that's when Darren Williams came out. So that's when we played North Carolina in Maui that year.
Yes.
And then North Carolina and Illinois played in the national championship game that year, and North Carolina beat them, and they had like 5 first-round draft picks or something like that.
Yeah. And Illinois was that the year with the crazy comeback against Arizona?
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that game was nuts.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah, I don't like Illinois either. That's a great pick. Now in football, I don't really care.
Yeah, they're never very good. I came up with this next question: who wins in a race? This is peak athleticism, peak speed. Adam Haluska at 100 meters or you at 80 meters?
He's not beating me, giving up 20.
No. What about 90? What about 10? That's a close race.
He might get me then.
What was his record then? What time?
I can't even remember. It was up on the state site for a long time. I don't even know if he still has it, but he had the 100 meter.
Interesting.
For a long
I'm gonna have to
time.
look at that.
I think somebody beat him. You're talking about the 100 meter one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he beat Tim DeWhite, and then I think somebody got his at some point. I can't remember. I may be wrong on that one.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
But yeah.
Just thinking of, remember watching Haluska play basketball. Obviously a very good athlete, but like imagining him being faster than Tim DeWhite is kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Well, like when you watched Adam play basketball, like I think this is what got him drafted too, because like when you watched him play basketball, you weren't like, oh, that dude's a big time athlete. But then if you just saw him do like an individual workout and just some of the things that he could do,
true.
Like I was like, oh, like if he's doing individual workouts, like the way he can shoot it, how good of an athlete he is, how high he jumps, like the guy's like a triathlete now. I don't, he like did like Ironman stuff for like the longest time. So like he's like, yeah, I mean he's like a big time. He's a big time athlete.
The workouts that emphasize your individual athleticism, he's going to excel at.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Correct.
Kind of touched on this earlier, but how cool was it to play in the D League, being in your home state?
It was awesome. It was. Here was the tough part about that was like, obviously, one, I got cut in Paris, and so I got like half of my contract from them, and so the D League hadn't actually started yet. And so, but if I wanted to play for Iowa, I had to be back in the States when the draft actually happened. But I was allocated to them or whatever, because I was one of the 10 players that they put on the list. And so like I was the first ever player for the Iowa Energy. So it was like,
Gotcha.
it was like, I was like going around, like, like doing it, it was really cool, like to be a part of it. And then, but everything was like an experiment that year, right? Like, so it was like,
true.
Basically, and that was the year too when teams didn't have like a 1-to-1 affiliate. Like we had like the Chicago Bulls, the Miami Heat, and it might have been the Cleveland Cavaliers. We had like 3 teams. And so like, I counted one time, I had like 50 teammates that year. Like, because like sit down, like put up, someone get hurt, and then they have to pick somebody up. And so, like everybody in that league is trying to get to the next step, right? Yeah. Like, and that includes like the coaches. So like, like Nick Nurse is a really good coach. I really like Nick Nurse, but for a while I was kind of upset with him because it didn't feel like we were trying to win. It just felt like if guys got sent down, it was like, boom, you're in the lineup, and it was like then dudes that were like there at practice, like we would have guys that would get down like 30 minutes before game time and they would start, and I don't now, I don't blame him. I understand it, so it was, he was put in a very tough position. And I think he kind of learned those things after that first year, are like, this is what I can do. This is what I should do, that type of thing. So it was kind of tough because the first year was just a learning experience. And then, like I said, the last 15 games, it was like, I think he started to finally trust me, and then I started to finally trust him. And then we did some good things. And I wish that I would have went back, for at least one more year and given it a try to see if I could have maybe got a call up or something like that, because those last 15 games, I felt like I was finally like starting to play really well and have a chance, that type of thing. And, we even talked about it too. But in the same sense, it was like, all right, well, how much longer am I going to be playing? My body's not holding up. Like, what if I don't get called up? Then I'm sitting here making terrible money, and it's like, so, I tried to take the money and tried to make as much money as I could, in my early years. And, just, it stinks. Injuries cut it short, but, it's just how it is.
Yeah, that's true. That's just kind of wild. Well, like we said earlier, knowing, well, I didn't even realize it was the start of the D League either. So
that's probably pretty hard being in the D League. I mean, even G League now, like, everybody has their own personal agenda, and you got to balance that with team success.
That is true.
Like you said, coaches and players both got to do that. So that'd be the hard balance about the D League or G League. So every episode on this podcast, I kind of took this from JJ Redick's podcast, but doing a 5-round draft, and we kind of learned. So we were thinking doing an all-time Iowa basketball team just in the 2000s, but if you don't want to do that, we could also do a Timberwolves one, since you're a Timberwolves fan.
We'll leave it up to you. That would throw.
Hey,
that'd be
it's your podcast. I'll do it. I'll do whatever you guys want. So I'll do Iowa. I'm okay with that.
We'll do Iowa.
We can do Iowa. Well, I just didn't know. Maybe you didn't really. Maybe if you don't pick some of your people that they'd maybe get offended or something. I don't know.
No, they won't. The only one that'd be a crybaby about is Bruner.
Well, you better take him first.
Well, he's
pick,
going
then.
number one then.
Yeah, first overall pick. That's funny.
Okay, so are we doing this as just best players, or are we building a lineup, like a starting five?
Let's build a lineup.
Build a starting
I think
five.
we've done best before, like with Lake Mills, with Coach Minky and stuff.
Okay.
So let's build a lineup. You're going to have the first pick, and we're going to do it snake. So then it's going to go you, Chris, me, Chris, you, and we'll do it until we have 5 picks.
All right. Sounds good.
So you have the first overall pick for the 2000s Iowa basketball lineup with Jeff Horner. He is the first pick.
I will take Reggie Evans.
Okay. I like that pick a lot. He's a dog.
He lasted a while in the NBA.
Without scoring points. Getting boards, playing defense.
Now, he is... So I played with a guy at Nyack who was like almost 28 by the time he was playing with me, but that's besides the point. He's from Inglewood, and he claims he's buds with Reggie Evans. I never figured it out. Yes.
Caleb Bassey.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's good friends with Doug Thomas.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
Something we didn't talk about on here, you actually recruited Chris a little bit.
He came and saw my worst game.
Worst game against Tyler Putz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I mean, Tyler Putz didn't play great either, though.
That was at Forest City.
Oh, do you guys get rocked?
I don't know. Did you come to the home one? I don't remember.
I think you went to the one.
I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
I did not play well.
Yeah.
All I remember is he came down and told me, you need to shoot more. I was like, I'm trying to.
Chris, not often Chris is told that. That's for sure.
No, I'm not shy about getting shots up. Okay. Well,
I had to make sure we established that.
Yes. I think there's only one answer to go with here.
Yeah, you just do it.
Luka Garza.
Want me to give you my jersey too?
No, I'm good.
Garza jersey. Who am I going to go from here?
These first two for you could be seal the deal.
Yeah,
if you do it right.
For one, I'm going to go Aaron White.
Yeah,
one of mine.
And
then I'm going to take Jeff Horner.
Yeah, that's tough. Dang
Let's
it.
go. I'm off to a hot start.
Okay.
So second pick for Chris here.
Oh boy. Let's go Utah.
Yeah, that was a good pick. I was thinking him.
So I got my bigs covered.
So Jeff, now you have 2 straight picks.
I'm going to go with Dean Oliver and Devin Marble.
Devin Marble, it's a good pick. He's kind of on the outs with Iowa right now. He doesn't associate with Iowa anymore.
That was weird.
That was a weird little thing. I can't even remember.
And he was my favorite player when he was there too.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
I love Devin Marble.
Thank you for leaving me this guy. Peter Jock.
I was thinking about him too. Golly.
That shooting 3 I got right now. Jars, are you tough and Jock?
You guys aren't going to play defense though.
Doesn't matter. We're going to score more than you.
It's true. You don't even have a point guard yet, so
they don't even play defense now.
That's true.
They just scored 90 points.
That's true. I have 2 straight picks here.
Still need a point guard.
So I don't remember. So when you guys were in school, I remember the games very vaguely. I remember you guys watching you guys play a little bit, but
or you just slept through it.
I did. Yeah, true. I'm gonna take your boy Greg Bruner. It's one of my picks.
That's a good pick.
So what do I need?
Could
Bruner play the 5?
You can play. You can play the 5.
Okay.
So you got like a 5, a 4, and a 1.
A 1. So I kind of need a shooter. I wanted to say a name, but I don't want to roast just in case, like Iowa people listen to this. Let's see.
What, CJ Frederick?
No. Oh my gosh, that would actually be a good pick on this team
can't
too.
pick it
I
now.
don't like him anymore. Yeah,
He's
I don't
not
like him
on
anymore. Let's see. A shooter. I'm trying to think. Oh, what was his name?
Oglesby.
No, that was the joking name I was
Early Oglesby.
Number 24 is JJ.
Justin Johnson.
Justin Johnson. No, I'm missing one. Matt Gatins. Sorry. Forgot about Matt Gatins. I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah, I was going to take him next.
I just remember the one game where Justin Johnson went off. That's why.
Okay, so I'm going to put Jock at the 2 strictly on this next pick. Wieskamp.
Oh my gosh, your team's huge.
Yeah, I still need a point guard.
Yeah, you do need a point guard.
Wieskamp.
Took Joe Wieskamp.
I'm running out of point guards, though. So you got him. You're
going to round out your team here, Jeff, with 2 straight picks.
All right. So I need a shooter. So I'm going to take Luke Recker.
Marble and Evans. Luke Recker. Cheers. This is going to be
And then at my 5, I'm going to take Gabe Olashaney.
I forgot about him.
Yes.
Just high energy. Great defender.
He's still playing overseas too, isn't he?
I think he plays on the Great Britain national team.
Oh wow!
What the heck?
He
Gabe
was
Olashaney, that's a name.
He was a fun one to watch.
Yes.
I mean, first one off the bench,
provided
super
energy.
athletic.
Yeah. Gabe Olashaney.
I don't think I'm missing a player here.
Maybe he can go on like a manager squad.
We don't have a water boy spot.
Yeah, water boy.
Or
you give us some towels when we're sweating.
Hey, those years were rough.
Those years were so rough.
It's not fun.
Sheesh.
Who was the kid we had that transferred to Illinois State who was actually pretty good?
Tyler Smith?
No, he transferred to Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah. Oh, Drew Kelly.
The Kelly, yeah.
Jake Kelly.
Indiana State.
Actually pretty good. Yep, Indiana State. You kind of balled it up.
Okay. I need a point guard.
Tony Freeman went to Illinois State.
Oh, okay.
Or Southern Illinois. Yes. One of those two.
One of those two.
Illinois.
Yeah, Indiana State for Kelly.
I'm just going to go with Mike Gazalf at point guard. Because he doesn't need to shoot. He can
Good
just
old
facilitate.
Mike G. Had a clutch bucket against North Carolina. That was like the...
He did, the and one.
The and one. That was like the only time. Yeah.
Didn't he dunk on him? He got a big dunk on him too, didn't he?
He had a big dunk. I think so.
He could low-key get up a little bit.
Yeah, and then just every time late in the game, drive right.
Miss it.
Throw up something.
Well,
even on Woodbury's game
he missed
winner,
it against Temple, and
Woodbury gives a little shove
shoved
and
him
lays
in the
it
back. And
total shove by Woodbury.
Make him call it, and they did.
Total shove by Woodbury.
Hey, and by the way, I know this is going to sound really bad. I completely forgot about Garza.
With your first pick? Hey,
that's fine.
Like, I didn't even think about it, you know?
I mean, hey, to be fair, Reggie Evans could probably D up Garza a little bit.
Reggie would be a great defender on Garza.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I figure I got Devin Marble and Luke Rector to score, you know, and then I got Dean to run the team.
Yep.
And Reggie and Olashaney playing defense. Jeez.
Your inside defense
Olashaney would play good defense on Garza.
Yeah. Olashaney could guard Utah.
So my last pick, I'm going to go with...
So you have a point guard, a 4, a 5, and a 3. So you need like a 2.
He's the only option I can take. Adam Haluska.
I was gonna say, are we gonna forget Haluska?
Yeah, it's perfect fit.
It is.
I have 3. I have you, Greg, and Haluska. So
you just went
just so you guys know this too. I just stayed away from picking any of my teammates, so that way, like you said, I couldn't make them mad. So if anyone's listening to this that was my teammate, that's why. All right,
that is smart.
Also, it'd
be great if they would listen to this.
Yeah, it would be awesome if they listen to it. If any of your guys,
I also kind of got
like my team the best because we're gonna put out a poll.
I get that because when we did the Lake Mills draft, I took Al strictly because I felt I had to.
You also took yourself in the first round.
Why not?
It was a funny pick.
It was a confidence.
I'm not
confidence in
True.
Did anyone take Jeff Scogan?
Let me check.
He was on my draft board.
No, he is not in the lineup.
Missed the cut just a little bit. Sorry about that, Jeff. He'll listen to this. He'll love this.
Oh, absolutely. All right. To recap the teams, Jeff has Reggie Evans, Dean Oliver, Devin Marble, Luke Rector, and Gabe Olashaney. The winning team has Luka Garza, Jared Utoff, Peter Jock, Joe Wieskamp, and Mike Gazelle. Zach is Aaron White, Jeff Horner, Greg Bruner, Matt Gatens, and Adam Haluska.
I like my team a lot.
I'm glad you do, because you'll make it better when you lose.
Hey, I like my team, man. My team.
Honestly,
against
this has probably been.
Are we going to put this on a computer simulator or what?
How about we just get everybody? Actually, no, that would hurt my team the most. I was going to say, bring everybody back.
Yes, let's bring everybody back.
Because all your guys are young guys. Your team would toast now.
No, yeah, we kind of mentioned that like for our Lake Mills one. Like it'd be super cool if somehow you could
do an alumni event where you bring those 3 teams and have them play against each other.
Yeah, now obviously all of them would be different points in their lives.
Exactly.
But be super cool.
But thanks for coming on with us today.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Learned a lot of things we didn't know about you guys, about you, especially after college.
Yeah. Getting that journey was awesome.
And like I said, you provide some good family funny stories.
Oh yeah.
So it's but yeah, thank you.
It's an opportunity.
This has been great. We'll get this up
maybe tonight
or tomorrow, one of the two.
Yeah,
but,
good one.
All right,
thanks for coming on, Jeff.
I appreciate it. See you guys.
See ya.